back to the dugout, hang your head, you can bat away your helmet down, you're done. He doesn't have any saving points. He picks her, he throws her away. Another one picks her, he throws her away. Another one picks her, he throws her away. It's time.
Yeah.
In spite of everything she's been through, she still believes this can turn around. This can get better. And one of the things she was placing her hope in is the Messiah will come.
And there's another way in looking at why she did it too, is because she had a need. I mean, she was a poor woman on her own, and so she had a very good need. And we have a need within us that we just simply have to recognize. When we do, we come to Jesus, but that need is within us. He built it within us. And she had a need for some protection, some help, some way of living.
You think she was broken? You think she was hurting inside? You think she'd been through 5 husbands and had no ill effect? Jesus sees it. He sees all of them. There's a beautiful chapter in Ministry of Healing. It's a great book. I recommend it before this morning, the office there. There's a whole chapter on how Jesus meets with and interacts with people. In one of the paragraphs, he says that he never allowed himself to look at anyone with a look that said, "You're in bad shape." I'm paraphrasing. But he never allowed himself, by his expression, by his body language in any way, to let people see that he saw that they were in bad shape. He always acted towards them as, you have dignity, you have hope, you have potential, you have. Follow me and you will become. Follow me and you will become. Okay, a lot of stories this week for healing stories. So take Sunday's lesson, you have yours. You have to come forward. He's blind. Why is it called the second touch?
The touch gave 2 times. We gave him, touch gave 2 times, we gave his sight.
What happened with the first touch?
In face was blurry.
Yeah, he could see, but he couldn't see. My dad, he had an interesting collection of friends when I was growing up, which I'm actually proud of. And I've always tried in my life, the tendency for Christians is to only be friends with other Christians. My father had an interesting collection of friends. One of those friends was a drug addict. And he also became a drug dealer, eventually went through an interesting character. One night he was in bad shape, and he knew he was in bad shape. He was trying to drive, he knew he was in too bad a shape to drive, so he pulled off and he parked his car and he went to sleep. He woke up from his stupor, put the car in gear, hit the gas, and ran into a tree. Damaged his car. Anyway, so he came to my dad, because my dad fixes cars, and he told my dad the story. This is what he said. He told me he was in bad shape, he pulled off the road, and he parked his car, and he'd gone to sleep. He said, I woke up, and I put the car in gear, and I went and I hit the tree. He said, and then I really woke up. I woke up, and then I hit the tree, and then I really woke up. This man was touched by Jesus. He began to see. He was touched by Jesus again, and then he began to really see. How many of you in your walk with Jesus have been walking along thinking, hey, I'm a Christian, I get it, I know what Jesus is, compassionate, he's nice, and he's kind, and I should be all those things. And then something happens, you meet someone, you have some kind of experience, you have some kind of interaction, and then you're like, whoa, Jesus even loves that guy. You have this experience. Or you fall on your own face, and then you realize Jesus hasn't given up on you. Jesus still loves you. You see, Peter knew that Jesus loved him. But after Peter said, I don't know him, I don't know him, blankety, blankety, blank, I don't know him. And then he looked and saw Jesus looking at him with compassion, mercy. Then he really knew Jesus loved him. So second touch. How many touches do you think it really takes for us to see people like Jesus see you? One touch. 2, 3, 4. Jesus, how many times should we forgive a man? 7 times? You know why they asked that question? What did their culture say? And the Jews were good baseball players before baseball ever existed. In Jewish culture, 3 strikes and you're out. But the disciples were walking with Jesus. They were touching him every day, and they started to realize, man, we've had strike 1 with him. He didn't throw us out. Strike 2, he didn't throw us. Strike 3, strike 4, strike. How many strikes are there? Jesus, how many times? 7? What did he say? What did Jesus say? So all you literalists, got your calculator out or your mind's sharp this morning, what's that number? 70 times 7. What is it? 490. Does 70 times 7 and 490 occur anywhere else in the Bible? Where? Prophecy in Jeremiah and Daniel, right? The 70 weeks will be determined upon your people. 70 times 7. And in the 70th week, Messiah will be cut off. When Jesus said 70 times 7, he wasn't just throwing out random numbers. He is pointing to himself as the forgiver of humanity. Is there limits on his forgiveness? Forgive them, Father, they know not what they do. Think about that statement. Forgive them, Father, they know not what they do. When you see the news, if you watch the news, I try not to, but when you see the news, and you see an angry mob of white people on one side screaming, all lives matter, and you see an angry mob of black people on the other side screaming, Black Lives Matter. And they're both, do you think they both believe in what they're saying? No? Okay.
They're just angry, they don't think.
Oh, they're just angry, they're not thinking. But is their anger, do you think in their mind their anger is justified?
In their mind, yes.
Yes. So you have 2 groups saying opposite things and both think they're justified in what they're doing. Right? Do we agree on that? What's wrong? How can that be? How can 2 groups of humans, both coming from the same God, be screaming at each other and both believe that they're justified in what they're doing? How can a husband and wife who said, I will love you for better, for worse, till death do us part, be screaming at each other, calling each other names, berating them, their mothers and their fathers and their families, and be justified and think that what they're doing is right? How does that happen? Doesn't happen. Would Jesus, if Jesus was a husband, would he do that to his wife? What happened? That's why. So you don't stand on opposite sides of the street on the sidewalk yelling, and you see 2 groups of people yelling at each other unless you're already doing that in your own life at home with a person who's the same color as you that you claim you love. Because somehow anger started winning over love. Hatred started winning over love. Animosity started winning over love. And Jesus comes to you and he sees past the anger and the animosity and the hatred and the Ku Klux Klan membership and all the garbage, and he sees something that nobody else sees. If you follow me, you will become a fisher. You can't help but notice that Peter after the cross is not the same Peter as before the cross. You can't help but notice that. And the difference is, the big difference, is not just that God loves him in spite of himself. It's that God loves him, period. Because he realized that he wasn't as good as he thought he was. How many of you have had that experience? Where you did something, and all of a sudden you realize, wait a minute, I'm no better than I thought I was. But I'm not. No, just me.
There's people on the screen waving at us saying, yeah.
Yeah. Well, not completely. Peter, what did he say before the cross? Jesus, I'll die for you. I'll do anything it takes. And he meant it, and he believed it. But Jesus saw beyond it. When he met the woman at the well, she was low, and everybody saw it. He saw that she could be higher. When Peter came to Jesus, Peter thought he was high, and Jesus knew that he wasn't. Jesus sees what we don't see, even in ourselves. Some of us think that we are lower than we really are. Oh, I'm good for nothing. I can never amount to anything. I'm going to fail. I'm going to screw up. And some of us think, I'm better than you. I'm always going to be better than you. No matter what it is, I'm going to find a way to beat you. I'm better than you. Jesus sees both of those are lies. He sees it. We don't see it. When Jesus came to the woman, starts having a conversation. The disciples come back. They don't hear the conversation. They weren't there for the conversation. All they see is the outside. Jesus, the good guy, is talking to somebody who's not worthy of this conversation. But they don't say anything. Lots of times they interrupted Jesus and said, Jesus, you shouldn't say that to those people. You should be doing this. You shouldn't. But in this instance, they don't say anything. Why?
They started to learn.
They could see enough to know they shouldn't question him. But they were still so blind that they couldn't see what he saw in her. Does that make sense? To them, she was like a tree walked. Yeah, she's not completely dead, not completely homeless, but I have no idea what he sees. How many times have you heard conversations around the dinner table at a family gathering or whatever, where someone talks about somebody who's in a dating relationship and they make the comment, I have no idea what he, she sees in him, her. You heard that? I have no idea why they're in that relationship. I have no idea what they see in her, what they see in him. At least it's honest. At least it's honest. Are we going to learn to see through Jesus' eyes? Let's start with a more honest question. Do you want to see through Jesus' eyes? You sure?
Yeah.
Got a lot of absolute reason yeses coming from this room.
Are you sure?
Annalise says that's what love's all about.
Let's talk about love then. Love you.
Hope easy to come home,
Love you.
unnecessarily easy to maintain.
See, if I only have to love my favorites, that's a lot easier than loving people who aren't my favorites. Isn't it true there are some people that are just a lot easier to love? Isn't that true? But if you really want Jesus' eyes, you're going to be drawn to start loving people that you don't even like. What did Jonah say when God forgave the Ninevites?
Knew you were going to do that.
I knew you were going to do that. You wasted my time. You wasted this whole bunch of nonsense. I don't even want them to live. Why did you do this? I knew you were going to do this. Did Jonah want Jesus' eyes? Jonah could see. I knew you'd forgive those low-life, miserable, good-for-nothing so-and-sos. Why didn't you just let me stay home?
He's suggesting that if God could use Jonah, what can he do with us?
But it's easy to say, yes, I want to see through Jesus' eyes. But if you really want to see through Jesus' eyes, you're going to start seeing things that are going to rub up against how you used to see things. For example, Peter, after the cross, changing it, realizes and good for nothing. You want me to go to his? Yeah. Okay. And as I long here, I did. Then when he's at Cornelius' house, Cornelius starts to tell him all the things that God is doing in his life. In his mind, Peter he's already thinking, but he's not feeling it. God loves this. God is working in this man. I should baptize this man. The other side of him saying, oh, only Jewish life. And his mind's going back. And he says, if God is already baptizing with the Spirit, who am I to say that he can't be baptized with water? And then you know what he has to do? He has to go back to the Jews and justify what he did. Peter, you went to baptize one of them. Who do you think you are? God is talking. You call no man. Call him. Or unclean. No man. That's not Peter thinking. That's not Peter eyes. That's God thinking. That's God thinking. And the transition from one to the other is not quick, nor is it easy. We can talk about it being easy. We can sing Kumbaya and go home and, oh yeah, I want Jesus' eyes. Next time you pass a native guy who's hitchhiking, you can do it. All right, Tuesday's lesson. Anyone wants to make sure I don't stick anything or wants to touch on something, I can touch on it. Tuesday is begin where you are. Me. How do we know it's biblical truth?
That's what we say, okay, you know, when you get to the end of the hour, you guys pray the justice and Jerusalem.
What's the importance? What's the concept behind begin where you are? What was wrong with Peter's thinking? You may not see this connection yet, but work with me. What was wrong with Peter's thinking when he said, Jesus, I'll die for you? What's wrong with his thinking?
He was making a decision instead of God leading us where he would lead.
He was going to save Jesus, which means that he's the hero and Jesus is the victim. We're in the wrong that picture? Peter's already looking to save you and fix you and help you. But the truth is, Peter has all kinds of issues inside him. Have you ever had someone come to you and try to set you on the straight and narrow, only to find out that the very things they're trying to fix you, they don't even have control of in their own life? I had an interesting conversation with a friend of mine who's also a pastor. I'm not from Nova Scotia, but I lived there for 15 years. He is from Nova Scotia. And his wife's home church had a couple families move in who are trying to get away from the cities and that whole vibe. And one of them is a man, he's been very vocal in church about shit and pushing people and being kind of belligerent about it and interrupting in Sabbath school, and he's always on this track. So finally, the pastor and the elder decided they need to go visit this guy. But at home, the next. Start where you are. Follow me, and you will become fishers of men. Jesus does not call us first to fishers of men. He calls us first to become fishers. And he calls us first to follow him who is the fisher of men. It's really easy to tell other people how they ought to be.
And we say, power comes from the Holy Spirit. She loves that for me, where it starts in Jerusalem.
Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, to the ends of the earth. Why is it so critical to start where you are? Why is that so important? What happens to your witness when you go to church and say things that are true? Like eating this is bad for you, smoking this is bad for you, drinking this is bad, it's all true. And then the person starts to say, yeah, I should do that. And then they go to your house because you're leading, you're telling, you're the witness. And they find you so drunk. What just happened to your witness? Stop. It's no good for us to tell the world that the Seventh-day Adventist Church is the answer if we're just as broken, divided, and screwed up in here as they are out there. What's the point? What's the point? It's no good for me to tell you how important love is if you come and walk with me and talk to me and find out that I'm pretty mean.